spoken words. I, Henry Royce, am a designer that founded Rolls-Royce, Rolls-Royce Corporation, Rolls-Royce Motors, as well as Rolls-Royce Limited. I was an English industrialist who was passionate about building inventions, especially in designing and inventing new car models. I became widely successful in my field. I built my own engineering company and constantly built new prototypes that everyone raved about in the car industry. I was born in Wilton, UK on March 27, 1863, and died in West Withering, Sussex, UK on April 22, 1933. I lived a long 70 years, and towards the end of my life, I had to pass down the company to the next man in the chain of command. I was an English industrialist who was one of the founders of Rolls-Royce Limited. My company manufactured luxury automobiles and powerful airplane engines. When I was just 15 years old, I was an engineer apprentice to the Great Northern Railway Company at Peterborough. By 1882, I was the chief electrical engineer for Liverpool's first electrical street lighting system. 2 years later, I moved to Manchester and started my own engineering business, which developed into Rolls-Royce Limited. There, I manufactured electrical driven cranes, dynamos, and motors. In 1904, I also built 3 experimental cars. The quality of the car I designed was so amazing it came to the attention of motor dealer C.S. Rolls, who soon agreed to join or marry our companies with the entire company. That's how I became Rolls-Royce. During World War I was designing and making cars for my own company as well as for the British military. I made the cars fast, powerful, and more importantly, bulletproof. I was a true patriot, so I only made them for the British military. I was able to make cars bulletproof with thick metal exterior that serves as an armor over the mold of the car. I had to add this feature to keep soldiers that were within the vehicle safe, and that I'm just too precious to lose. The automobile world would just be in shambles without my brilliance, and the British military would lose the war without my cars. Finally, and overall, I was an industrialist that was helpful to the British military. Fighting World War I designed and manufactured cars that were luxurious, expensive, and fast for civilians. The bulletproof and sturdy for the British military. Not only that, but I made electric-driven cranes, dynamos, and motors open for all the public to buy. Remember this in my Rolls-Royce Limited faculty. And don't forget, I was widely successful in my field of engineering. Now, I will leave you with this. Strive for perfection in everything you do. Take the best that exists and make it better. When it doesn't, design it. And of course, buy Rolls-Royce if you can afford it, you know? Henry Royce, rolling out. Now introducing Mary Curry.
Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Bonjour, my name is Mary Curry. You can also call me Madame Curry. I was born on November 7, 1867 in Warsaw, Poland. My daddy was Władysław Curry and my mom was Bronislaw Curry. Were both teachers. I'm known for being a physicist and a chemist who conducted pioneering research on radioactivity. As a child, I decided to take my father as a math and physics instructor. I was always very curious and wanted to learn new things. I also excelled in school. But when I was 10 years old, my mother died from tuberculosis. I was sad, but also a little bit inspired to find a cure. I was a top student in my secondary school, but I couldn't attend the Men's University of Warsaw. Instead, I continued my education in Warsaw's floating university, a set of underground classrooms held in secret. For roughly 5 years, I worked as a tutor and a governess. I used my spare time to study reading about physics, chemistry, and math. In 1891, I finally made my way up to Paris, where I enrolled at the Sorbonne in Paris. I threw myself into my studies, but this dedication had a personal cost. With little money, I had to survive but the food I ate interfered with my health. The food I ate interfered with my health by making me sick, and I needed lots of medications to make me feel better. I completed my master's degree in physics in 1893 and earned another degree in mathematics the following year. Around this time, I received a commission to do a study on different types of steel and their magnetic properties, but I needed a lab to work in, so my colleague introduced me to a French physicist named Pierre Curie, who soon became my husband. For a short while, Pierre and I worked separately, each of us working on our own thing. I was fascinated with the work of Henry Becquerel, another French physicist who discovered that uranium casts off rays, weaker rays than X-rays found by William Conrad. I was so inspired that I decided to take Becquerel's work a few steps further, conducting my own experiments on uranium rays. I discovered that the rays remain constant, no matter the condition or the form of uranium. The rays, I theorized, came from the element's atomic structure. This revolutionary idea created the field of atomic physics, and I finally coined the word radioactivity to describe the phenomenon. Radioactivity means that the substance is unstable and is giving off invisible particles which are blasting everywhere. Some particles can go through you too, but so be careful. Some of them take your DNA and can screw it up by weakening and breaking up the DNA. I died on July 4th, 1934. People all over the world still remember my work today. After I died, people decided to elaborate my work to create the modern X-ray. My work helped people all over the world with their medical conditions and help people live healthier lives. I hope you enjoyed my speech. Now introducing Franklin to you.
The motto of war is, let the strong survive and let the weak die. The motto of peace is, let the strong help the weak survive. Hello, my name is Franklin D. Roosevelt. I led America to victory in World War II and beat that guy with the weird mustache, a.k.a. Hitler, and who spread evil to the world by killing people based on their ethnicity and religion. Back to me. I was born on January 30th, 1882 in Hyde Park, New York. As the only child, I was respected. Hold it! Who are you calling the guy with the weird mustache? Talk about the disease that killed you. Well, at least I'm not the one who supported an ethnicity that I wasn't belonging to. Mind your own business. Anyway, greetings. My name is Adolf Hitler. I was the Chancellor of Germany and the leader of the Nazi Party. I was born on April 20th, 1889 in Austria. While I was growing up, I always hated my father and we got into many fights.
You ungrateful, mischievous child. Your parents were there to help you. I'm done with you two bickering. No wonder why you got started in World War II. And anyway, salutations. My name is Winston Churchill, and I was the Prime Minister of England at the time of World War II. I was elected to be the chairman of the Military Coordinating Committee of Great Britain.
Chairman, what did you do to sit all day?
No, a chairman is someone who's in charge of a business or an organization.
Oh yeah? I was president of the USA.
Would you let me talk, you disrespectful children? You guys are both very hungry. Very hungry.
Thank you.
Well, I helped lead Great Britain from a depressing defeat to a glorious victory. I was born on November 30th, 1874 in Dublin, Ireland. I attended to the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst in England. But because of my behavior and being a rebellious attendant, I was sent to one of the most prestigious schools in England, Harrow. After spending weeks in Harrow, I joined the Harrow Rifle Corps, which led me to an interest in military and army. I, Winston Churchill, surprisingly wasn't good at being part of the army. Surprisingly, I didn't pass the military exam until my third trial. At this point, it wasn't really a good idea for me to keep moving on, but I did.
My life wasn't
was so different from yours. When I was 3 years old, my brother died and I had to move from Austria to Germany. When I became a teenager, my dad and I were really not talking to each other. We fought every single day and he didn't like the fact that I liked art over school studies. He wanted me to be the perfect son who got all A's, but I wasn't that type of kid. When I was in high school, I wasn't into math or reading. Instead, I was a rebel and interested in art, so my mother allowed me to drop out. I then applied for the art school twice, but I got rejected. I didn't know what to do next, so then I joined the German military. But just like you, Mr. Chairman, I wasn't very good at being a soldier. I always failed and was never focused, but I started training and got better. My life was still miserable.
Ha ha! I actually had a pretty good childhood. I was the only child, and luckily I was homeschooled. Later, I entered Groton, a private school in Massachusetts. After high school, I went to Harvard, but was only a C student. After that, I went on a course and got my diploma in 3 years. In 1921, I got polio, a sickness that wouldn't allow me to walk. I was president for 4 terms, which is the longest in which a person has ever been president.
I'm Germany's longest chancellor.
Anyway, I influenced people by telling them a story who saved thousands of lives despite the sickness. If I wasn't there, America wouldn't pay attention to this world war, and they would still be stuck through the Great Depression.
You helped the Americans, but they're ruining the country again for themselves. I mean, they're now electing Trump as president. The amazing Winston Churchill helped Great Britain in the time of World War II. If I wasn't alive, Britain would have been destroyed by the German army.
I helped to defeat the German army, Chairman.
I am a chairman. Well, you have been in a wheelchair for 24 years. I signed a contract that made peace between the USA and Great Britain. Well, the Americans didn't really help me in the UK, but it just made sure that the Americans would not attack Britain. After noticing that Hitler and the Nazi armies were taking control of the countries bordering the German country, I decided to do something about that. So I took over the countries that bordered Germany to let them have freedom, to give them freedom. After the times of World War II, I started to write. I lived like any normal person in my older ages. When I died on January 20th, 1965, Britain wept over my body for over 3 days.
When I died on April 12, 1945, my country wept over for more than a week. Beat that. What about you, Mr. Thurston?
When I died on April 30th, 1945, in Germany, my country, nobody knew I died because after Germany lost World War II, I got depressed and it was like my life was starting all over again. It was like my hard work evaporated in the air. I got depressed, I drank poison and shot myself. I did this because everything I worked for evaporated. Well, let me go on with my life. When I joined the Nazi Party, we were very small, and I wasn't a person to look at. I was short and not rich, but I had very good speaking skills. Everyone wanted to listen to me, so everyone started voting for the party. Soon, the Nazi Party became a huge deal in Germany, and I became the leader of the party. After a while, I started blaming all the Jews for the condition of Germany. I also convinced many Germans that the Jews are untrustworthy, and they have caused all the hardships in Germany. Soon after the Nazi Party started killing and torturing Jews, a lot of the other countries thought I was doing something wrong. So I basically started a cause of World War II. Without me, Jews wouldn't have taken over Israel and Palestine. I also made the Jews more powerful. Now you can see my plan did not work.
From my amazing observations, I could see that every single one of us has shaped the world either positively or negatively. The most important thing we learned is that Winston Churchill is the best.
Thank you for listening to us, and I should leave you with one message. Adolf Hitler was the best.
What are you talking about?
Excuse me? Actually, just ignore these two. I am the best, Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Hey, as you can see, these two mindless creatures students who stole the microphone from me and used my words against me. So because they can't make any words for themselves. Well, anyways, thank you guys for listening. Now I'd like to introduce Rosa Parks.
Segregation, racial discrimination, inequality. These movements happened at my time. Hello, my name is Rosa Parks. I was born on February 4, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama. I was a civil rights activist. My mother's name was Leona Edwards, and my father's name was James McCauley. I had one sibling. His name was Sylvester McCauley. My childhood led me to my early experiences with racial discrimination. After my parents have separated, my family moved to live with my grandparents, where I spent my youth. I attended a segregated one-grade schoolhouse. Black children were supposed to walk from 1st through 6th grade schoolhouses, while white children had a school building and a bus transportation. Over the years, I got a job in a shirt factory. In 1932, I met and married Raymond Parks. He was a barber and also part of the NAACP, which is the National Association of Advancement of the Colored People. Because of this, I also joined the NAACP in 1943. There were rules for riding the bus. The white and the black had to be separated, so the white were in the front and the black were in the back. When the white people's seats were filled, the row behind the white people's seats will have to give up their seats for the white people. On December 1st, 1955, I was on a ride home after a hard-hour day of work. The bus of the white people's seats began to fill. The driver demanded 4 colored people to move back 1 row. I was one of them. The 3 moved back while I refused. The driver demanded, "Why won't you stand up?" I replied, "I believe I do not have to stand up," and so I got arrested. The head of the NAACP, Ed Nixon, was planning boycotts to boycott the bus. People say that I refused because I was tired, but I was not tired. I was tired of being pushed around. Although I was a symbol of civil rights, I suffered through the months following my arrest. I lost my department and my husband was fired. So we moved to Detroit, Michigan with my mother. There we made a new life. I lived until I died on October 24, 2005 in my apartment at the age of 92. Thank you for listening. Now, Maya Angelou will be saying her speech. Greetings, my name is Maya Angelou. I'm a poet and award-winning author known for my acclaimed poem, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I was born on April 4th, 1928 in St. Louis, Missouri. I am remembered as a writer and a civil rights activist. I have made a little history by being the first African-American woman to publish a nonfiction poem. I was the only African-American to become a poet, but you didn't realize that I became a poet at a time when African-Americans weren't treated equally. Becoming a poet was a great achievement. In that way, I earned respect and became famous for my poetry. I became a dancer and actress during World War II. I moved to San Francisco where I won a scholarship. In California, I studied dancing, acting in the California
in 2009. At the age of 86, I died in Winston-Salem, North Carolina in May 28, 2014.
So thank you to the 5th and 6th graders. We're going to begin. Yeah, let's give them a hand of a round of applause. So we'll do a 2-minute break while I put my laptop on to get the slideshow. Hold on. 2-minute break. Students, if you need to use the restroom or get a drink of water, please throw us many. For the people about to present, inshallah, whoever can go up without their note cards, it's better, because with the quarterfinals and everything, they didn't have as much time to prepare, but inshallah they'll have a wonderful presentation for you. So just a few minutes, inshallah.
Testing.